All right, welcome back. We're taking another Greek lesson today. We've just spent some time looking at different verbs, finding the present, middle, or passive voice in the indicative mood, but here now we need to take a look at some more special verbs called compound verbs. And now these are different from compound verbs in English. In English we have a compound verb such as I run and jump, and you just have two different verbs. In Greek, a compound verb is actually a compound word. It's a verb with a preposition as a prefix. And in this lesson we also want to see a special use of the genitive case and the dative case, and these will be especially useful with passive voice verbs. Please remember, full courses available at potterschool.org and at alts.edu, and always something good at wittenbergcomo.com. All right, compound verbs in Greek or in Latin are really just normal verbs, but they have a preposition stuck on as a prefix. It should be pretty simple, but they can take you by surprise the first time you see them. Usually those verbs mean the same thing as the verb plus the preposition. Here's an example. Balo means I throw. Ek balo, remember ek or x is out, so it means I throw out. And ace balo means I throw in. So usually those compound verbs mean the same thing as a verb plus a preposition. And in fact, if you see what looks like a compound verb and it doesn't have really a definition, maybe you don't find it in your dictionary, you can assume that it means exactly the same thing as the two parts that make it up. Sometimes, however, compound verbs will have little different shades of meaning, and those will normally be introduced to you somewhere. For instance, the verb krino, which means I judge, remember our present passive indicative and those primary passive endings, omai, a, atai, amatha, estha, antai. We can make krinomai and say I am being judged, but what happens when we make that a compound verb, apakrinomai? It doesn't have anything to do with being judged. It means I answer. So if there's a compound verb that has a meaning other than what the parts of the word would indicate, you'll usually find it in your vocabulary or in your lexicon. Now another unusual thing, well, it seems quite usual and quite normal to ancient Greeks and also to ancient Romans. They do just the same thing in Latin. If you have a compound verb, normally you're also going to have a prepositional phrase, and usually it uses the same preposition as you find in the verb. Sometimes the preposition is different, but not very often. Let's look at this sentence here. Okay, ace balo, I throw in. What do I throw in? Ton adelphon. I throw the brother in what? Ace ton potamon, into the river. So I throw the brother into the river. And we used ace balo, and we used a prepositional phrase using the word ace. It seems redundant in English, but it seemed very normal in Greek. All right, thinking about our special uses of verbs, let's find a new way of using the genitive case with a noun. We can use the genitive case with the preposition hupa in a sentence that has a passive voice verb, and we would use it to show the agent of an action, the person doing the action. So For instance, we say, boy, this lesson is rough on the brother. Ha adelphos, the brother, balatai, there's a nice passive voice verb. He is thrown. All right, that would make a perfectly decent sentence. The brother is thrown. But what if we want to express who did the throwing? We'll use hupa. Why did I put that in the genitive? Silly me. Hupa to hippu. Not ton hippon. All right, so the brother is thrown, hupa with the genitive, not the accusative, by the horse. All right, it looked perfectly good when I proofread it before I tried to explain it. Hupa with the genitive in a sentence with a passive voice verb will say who is doing the action. Let's take a look at another use of a noun. Here I did type the correct case. The dative case can also be used without any preposition at all, and it can indicate means or instrument by which you do something. In the past, we've used the dative case as an indirect object, and we've wanted to say things like to or for. You know, we bake a cake for our friend, or I send a present to the emperor. But here, the dative case without a preposition can indicate means or instrument. Again, this usually happens when we have a passive voice verb. I decided not to pick on the brother anymore. So let's have the child. Ta teknon ek balatai. Okay, ek, out, balo, throw, etai, passive, is thrown out. The child is thrown out. All right, again, perfectly coherent statement, but let's say we want to know who does the throwing out. By the slave, doulo. We can use the dative case there. Oh, we could use, you know, the horses, the chariot is pulled by the horse. You see the agent. Or maybe we want to say the nail is pounded in with a hammer. We'd put the hammer in the dative case. Or, you know, the lesson is taught by the internet. Put the internet in the dative case. All right, so we've met some compound verbs, a verb with a preposition as a prefix. We've seen that we can use the genitive, not the accusative, the genitive case with hupa to say by somebody, and that's almost always a personal agent, the person doing something. It could be an animal. Normally it's an animate object, though, not some sort of a force like a hammer or a pair of pliers. That would be the dative of means or instrument. Keep doing that Greek. I know you can make it. So long till next time.